Imagine losing a Formula One podium, not because your car broke down, not because you crashed into a wall, not even because you made some catastrophic driving error, but because a computer measured your speed at 80.1 kilometers per hour instead of 80.0. And if you think that sounds like a joke, it isn't, because that's exactly what happened to Lewis Hamilton in Hungary. And by the time you understand everything that led up to that moment, you're going to be asking the same question millions of fans are asking right now. Was this really about 0.1 kilometers per hour, or was it about a team that kept setting its own driver up to fail over and over again? Let's rewind to the beginning, because this disaster didn't start on Sunday afternoon. It started a full day earlier in qualifying, where Hamilton was genuinely brilliant, missing pole position by just 0.012 seconds. A gap so small it's basically the blink of an eye, close enough that you could feel it slipping through his fingers. And that's exactly when the first crack appeared. Ferrari sent him out for his final qualifying run, but failed to warn him in time that Oscar Piastri was closing in fast behind him on a flying lap. And Hamilton, with no clear picture of what was happening behind him, ended up impeding the McLaren. Now here's the part that should make you angry. Team boss Frederick Vasseur came out afterward and openly admitted the warning came too late. So this wasn't reckless driving, this wasn't arrogance, this was a communication breakdown on the pit wall. Plain and simple, but in Formula One, the rulebook doesn't care who's really at fault. It only cares who was behind the wheel when the infringement happened. So Hamilton took the hit, a 3-place grid penalty, dropping him from a front-row fight all the way down to 5th on the grid. At a circuit where everybody in the paddock will tell you the exact same thing, overtaking at the Hungary is one of the hardest things you can attempt anywhere in this sport. So before a single racing lap had even started, before the 5 lights had even gone out, Ferrari had already turned a weekend that should have been about victory into a weekend about survival. But Hamilton doesn't quit, and he came out swinging from the very first corner. Ferrari rolled the dice by starting both cars on soft tires, while their closest rivals played it safe on the more durable mediums. And for a few laps, it actually looked like genius. Charles Leclerc bogged down off the start with wheel spin and dropped to 5th. Hamilton seized the opportunity, jumped ahead of his own teammate, and set his sights directly on Max Verstappen ahead of him. The car had the pace, everyone watching could see it, commentators were saying it, but raw pace means absolutely nothing on a track where there's nowhere to actually pass. And Hamilton spent lap after frustrating lap stuck to Verstappen's rear wing, unable to find a single gap, while up ahead, Norris and Piastri quietly built a gap that would end up deciding the entire outcome of the race. So Ferrari panicked slightly and pulled the trigger early, bringing Hamilton in for an undercut attempt on lap 14, and for one glorious moment it actually worked perfectly. Hamilton rejoined the track with fresh tires and a real, legitimate shot at Verstappen. He even pulled off an impressive pass through the circuit's tricky second sector to clear Arvid Lindblad along the way. But Max Verstappen didn't become a world champion by accident. Once the two cleared Liam Lawson, Verstappen used the toe, attacked hard into turn 1, and Hamilton simply wasn't ready for the move. "Sorry, I lost the position, I wasn't expecting it," he admitted on team radio almost instantly. And yes, that's on him, nobody's denying that. That was a genuine mistake. But here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. Hamilton was only in that vulnerable, exposed position in the first place because Ferrari rushed the strategy call, and now he was back in traffic, his tire temperatures climbing, his car becoming harder and harder to manage, exactly the situation that early pit stop was supposed to prevent. And then, almost unbelievably, it happened again. A second undercut attempt around lap 30 sent him out right behind Isaac Hadjar, another rival car blocking his path. Another lap lost just trying to clear traffic. Another strategic gamble that quietly backfired in real time. Hamilton later complained on the radio that the timing of that stop had compromised the entire undercut, and he wasn't wrong. And underneath all of this drama on track, there was a growing disconnect between driver and team that most casual viewers watching at home never even noticed. Because on lap 36, Hamilton radioed in, genuinely concerned about whether his tires would even survive to the finish line. He was managing the rears carefully, trying to think 2 steps ahead, and the response from his race engineer, Carlo Santi, revealed exactly where Ferrari's head was at in that moment. Now we take the position from Max, then we'll think about managing the tires. Meaning, forget the bigger picture for now, win the battle happening directly in front of us. And that single line tells you everything you need to know. Hamilton was thinking about the finish line 40 laps away. Ferrari was thinking only about the next corner. And that gap between the driver's instincts and the pit wall's priorities is exactly what set the trap for what came next. Because when Oscar Piastri's gearbox dramatically failed on lap 56, Hamilton suddenly found himself in second place, a genuine, valuable, championship-relevant result sitting right there for the taking, real points, a real podium, right in front of him, and this is the single moment that decided everything that followed. Instead of trusting the position Hamilton had already earned fair and square on merit, Ferrari called both cars into the pits under the virtual safety car for a fresh set of soft tires, betting everything that Hamilton would come out ahead of Andrea Kimi Antonelli and could then go hunt down Verstappen for the race lead. It was an aggressive, ambitious gamble, but the calculation was wrong, badly wrong. Antonelli had crossed the safety car reference line just a razor-thin fraction of a second before Hamilton had, and now Hamilton was ordered over the radio to hand the position straight back or risk an even harsher penalty later. And just like that, in the space of a few seconds, a comfortable second place turned into a crushing, deflating fourth. And Hamilton's words after the race exposed just how blindsided he really was by his own team's decision. "I wasn't really sure why we stopped. I got the call just before pit entry. I didn't have time to discuss it. I would never have stopped if I thought I was going to lose track position." Sit with that for a second, really let it sink in. The driver, the man actually risking his life in the car, didn't even understand the decision his own team made until it was already too late to reverse it. He even admitted afterward that he thought Verstappen might have caught him anyway on fresher tires. But that third place, not fourth or fifth, would have been massively better than what actually happened. "We lost quite a lot of points," he said bluntly. But Ferrari's mistake didn't stop there, because buried inside that exact same pit stop was the moment that would define the entire narrative of this race for weeks to come. The steward's automated data showed Hamilton had crossed the pit lane speed limit, not by 5 kilometers an hour, not by even 1, but by a number so small it's almost impossible to comprehend, 0.1 kilometers per hour, and the penalty that followed was completely automatic. 5 seconds added straight onto his race time, no discretion involved, no context considered, no human judgment applied whatsoever, just cold, unforgiving math, doing exactly what it was programmed to do. And that 5-second penalty was more than enough to drop Hamilton below his own teammate Charles Leclerc in the final classification, turning what should have been a hard-earned fourth-place finish into a bitter, deflating fifth. And Hamilton's radio message afterward wasn't rage exactly, it was pure exhaustion, the sound of a man who has simply run out of shock. "There you go. They're handing out penalties left, right, and center," he said, the voice of someone who has stopped being surprised by how often this exact pattern repeats itself around him specifically. But here's what makes this story so much bigger and more interesting than a simple, "the FIA is against Hamilton" narrative. Because Hamilton himself refused to hide behind excuses or point fingers. After the race, he said something remarkably honest and self-aware. "Silverstone was my fault. Belgium was my fault. And today was my fault as well, so I have nothing to blame the team for." And that kind of accountability almost never happens in Formula One. Drivers usually blame everyone except themselves, but it also forces us to dig deeper into what's really going on here. Because when you actually trace every single penalty back to its true source, you find a Ferrari decision sitting right behind almost all of it. The late warning that caused the qualifying penalty, the rushed undercut that put him directly in Verstappen's attacking range at turn 1, the panicked virtual safety car gamble that sent him into the pit lane at the exact wrong second. This isn't just one unlucky afternoon, at one unlucky circuit. Across the last 3 Grand Prix, Hamilton has now collected 4 separate penalties, and across the last 6 races, the number climbs to 5 total, and when the same driver keeps landing in the same kind of impossible, high-pressure situations, race after race after race, you have to stop and ask yourself the real question: is this actually about driver mistakes? Or is it about a team that keeps building pressure cooker moments and then acting genuinely surprised when something finally cracks under that pressure? Even Vasseur himself couldn't fully hide the disappointment. When you finish first and second on Friday, you expect a different result. But everything went wrong, we made 2 gambles, and our gambles did not pay off today. And Leclerc, sitting in the exact same machinery all weekend, described total inconsistency with the car, saying he had no feeling whatsoever on his second set of hard tires, calling it very difficult to find any consistency at all. So this wasn't just one driver struggling, this was a team-wide problem hiding behind one very public, very costly penalty. So here's what I want to know from you, and I genuinely want your honest opinion in the comments below. Do you think Hamilton is simply making too many costly errors at the worst possible moments, or is Ferrari the one quietly, repeatedly sabotaging its own drivers' championship hopes through panic and poor communication? Drop your answer in the comments right now, and tell me exactly which moment you think was the biggest turning point. Hit that subscribe button if you want the full breakdown of every single Ferrari strategy call this entire season. Ring that notification bell so you never miss the next race analysis. And share this video with another Hamilton fan who needs to see exactly how this championship is slipping away. Because trust me, this story is far from over.